I'm your host, Tiffany Gilliland, an Australian business and mindset coach with 10 years' experience in online marketing and the creator of the Business Bravery framework. I help coaches like you to be brave so you can stop dreaming and start doing that next big brave step and finally make more impact and get more clients. From speaking on camera to selling to launching, my approach to bravery helps you take bigger leaps without the mindset spirals. It's the secret ingredient to bigger results. In this episode, I had the pleasure of chatting with Gable Collings, practical astrological advisor at Within Reach Astrology. She helps busy professionals reclaim their energy and reach their goals using simple, practical, personalized astrology. She is passionate about combining life coaching with practical astrology to empower people to overcome burnout and make their dreams into realities. Her vision is that one day astrology will be taken as seriously as weather forecasts. The mainstream will be liberated by the knowledge of natural energetic cycles, and most importantly, everyone will enjoy life to the fullest. With that said, this is an amazing episode, and I can't wait to share with you Gable's stories of business bravery, past, present, and future. Now, who's ready for some business bravery inspiration? Let's dive in. I'm super excited to be here with the amazing Gable Collings. I have been connected with her for some time through networking and on Instagram and on Facebook, and I'm very excited to hear more about what she has going on. Gable, thank you so much for joining me this week on the podcast. And yeah, I'd love for you to tell us about you and your business and who you help, and then we'll get into all of the good bravery stuff too. So.
Yay, sounds good. I'm very honored to be here with you, Tiffany. This is an incredible experience and my first podcast interview, so this is a lot of fun. So I am Gable Collings. I'm a practical astrological advisor, and I run an astrological coaching business all online called Within Reach Astrology. So I help busy people manage their energy, because that's where really your power lies, in energy management, in alignment with their unique birth charts. So I take a more practical approach to astrology and how you can, work with your energy to manage it throughout your day so that you can reach your goals in alignment with your authentic self.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to dive into this, especially around the energy side and to learn more about practical psychology. So from my perspective, I'm new to a lot of this stuff, and I would love to know, like, from your perspective, like, how could you explain practical psychology to someone like me? I imagine lots of people who are listening are going to know more about this than me, so I apologize to those people. But yeah, like, what's practical astrology, and how does that differ to what people sort of know and expect when they hear the word astrology, maybe, I guess.
Yeah. And that's definitely something I could talk about for like a whole 2 hours, just that alone. Because when you think of astrology, I think a lot of people think about horoscopes, and this is, if you're a Taurus, this is what's going to happen to you in the week. And it's kind of, what's the word, like, where it's set in stone, like that's just the way it is. It's almost like a form of prediction, the traditional fortune tellers who tell you, this is what's going to happen in your life and there's nothing you can do about it. Or it's stuff like, you're just going to be feeling this vague energy and that's it. And, there are only the sun signs offered, like the things you read in the newspaper, on the websites. If you're a Taurus, you like cozy food and stuff like that. Whereas practical astrology is focused on using astrology as a life coaching tool. So instead of just telling you who you are or what's going to happen to you, the focus is on telling you how to work with that. Like, you already know a lot of things about yourself. Like, there's always more to discover, but you know your basic personality. And practical astrology is there to help you work on your strengths and use your natural tendencies instead of fighting them to get to where you want to be in life. And from that predictive standpoint, practical astrology is about being aware of what's happening astrologically. And there are challenges in life. That's unavoidable. And that comes up in astrology. There are good times and, bad times from our subjective perspectives, but it's all about how you deal with that, because those quote unquote bad times are opportunities to discover new parts of yourself and grow as a person as you encounter new challenges. And the good times are for enjoyment. And, it also helps you plan your time so that you know when to make the most of, like work time, productivity, getting focused, organizing and planning, and when you can make the most of relaxing and having fun and, daydreaming and connecting with other people. Yeah.
Gosh, yeah, I can actually see like I like the practical side to it and how it can actually like really help you to take advantage of those sides of yourself and what's going on and yeah, and also sort of help you through some of the bad times as well, or like, when the bad things come up. I have a weird question to ask. This is going to sound strange, but like there's so many times where like because like I'm not completely like I don't know much about this stuff, but the one thing I do know and do or have heard a lot of is the phrase Mercury is in retrograde. And like I notice these like slumps or something in myself or like my business and things like that. And like it can happen, I don't know, it feels like 6 weeks, 8 weeks or something sometimes. And then it's like, oh yeah, Mercury's been in retrograde. And lots of people are chatting about that in Facebook groups. Is that some of the stuff that comes into the practical astrology, or am I completely on the wrong wavelength? Sorry, I know it's such a strange question. It's
Oh,
just like when I think
that's actually a
astrology, I
really good
think
question.
Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people think that, when like you might know a bit about the signs, but when you're asked about astrological events, I think everyone who knows a little bit about astrology knows about Mercury retrograde. Because it is so major, it does affect our daily lives. Mercury goes retrograde about once every 3 or 4 months for about 4 to 6 weeks. So the reason that it affects your daily life, the reason it affects people so much, and the reason we talk about it so much, is because Mercury is the planet of your day-to-day life. So your normal routines, how you talk to people. I mean, we're in like the information age, so Mercury has such a major role because it's also about your technology. It's about every time that you text people. It's about every time you write something down or share something online, you're working with Mercury. And when Mercury goes retrograde about 3 or 4 times a year, it encourages you to have a different perspective on your, normal routines, which is why the classic Mercury retrograde thing is like your technology messes up all the time because it's encouraging you to take a step back because we do spend a lot of time on our technology to reconnect with yourself and to consider, how are you spending your time? Are you mindlessly scrolling? Are you trying to work through like a bad mood or a bad night's sleep, and that's why it's not going well? Or are you working on projects that you don't even feel excited about? Or are you moving through your work days consciously and taking breaks where you need them and taking care of yourself?
Okay, gosh, I had no idea there was so much like extra to that Mercury in retrograde. And I love the way that you sort of describe it because like the the messages that I had picked up about that phrase was kind of like, oh, it's all out of your control. But it's like, I really like your approach and like, hey, this is your chance to step back, to reconsider, to, check that you are, on track and, doing what you want to be doing and all of that stuff. Sorry, have I lost you? You're freezing on that side. I want to check. No.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still hearing good.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
That is my main focus. Well, one of my focuses when I share the practical astrological information is, we're told so often that these astrological things are outside of our control because it's happening in the stars. There's nothing we can do about it. And yes, it's happening. Like you can't stop Mercury retrograde, but you can control how you react to it. And that's the case with anything. Your interactions with other people too. You can't control what they're going to do or the fact that they're there, but you can control how you respond. And that's when you focus on that, that's when you step into your power and you can like be co-creating a better life for yourself.
Oh, oh my gosh, I love that. You can be co-creating a better life for yourself. Ooh, what does that look like? I know I'm supposed to ask you stuff about bravery, but I'm so interested in what we're talking about. I will get to that stuff. But what does co-creating a better life look like? And maybe that ties into the bravery stuff. So yeah.
Well, for me, co-creating a better life for myself looks like working with these natural cycles. You know, like you've probably heard about people who encourage you to live your life with the cycles of the seasons, you know, and take more time for rest in the winter, be more active in the summer. And that's essentially what astrology is helping you with as well. You know, make the most of the times when it's time to move things forward. Like right now, well, before July, we're in a season of globally in a season of action, generally speaking. And in the latter half of this year, so July to like into 2025, we're going to be more in a season of rest and reflection and introspection. So that's one way that you can work with it. And really, how I think about it is even if you don't have a specific goal in mind that you're working towards, but I think most people do. Most people have something that they're working towards. You can use these energetic cycles to determine when would be a good time to focus on certain things. And when you combine that with your intention, you know, and focusing on what you can control, you can take aligned action that's going to get you closer to where you want to be. Um, you know, especially when social media is all in your face and there are, you know, day-to-day responsibilities that take away your time. It's easy to get lost in the little mundane moments and lose that sense of connection and alignment. But even when you're doing all that, even when you're scrolling, even when you have to be on social media to promote your business, even when you have to, you know, take your kids somewhere or put the dishes away or whatever it might be, you can still take moments in your day to reconnect. And you can actually take those opportunities to realign when you're doing those things that are getting you out of alignment. I actually find that really fun. Like, for example, with the social media, since we spend so much time on there, it's really important to bring some intention there and really be selective of who you follow and regularly go through and cleanse your list. You know, if you start seeing things from someone that are like bringing your energy down, it's time to unfollow them and start following or specifically seeking out content that is in alignment with the life that you want to create. Like, is it giving you the business tips that you're looking for, the inspiration you're looking for, the entertainment you're looking for, or is it just okay and an okay thing to see in your scroll, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love that the intentionality and also like being aware of the energy and how it makes you feel and everything. Just yeah, I can definitely see how those tweaks and changes can help us to take more action in our businesses for sure. So yeah, love that. So, speaking of taking action in business, what brave things are you doing in your business at the moment?
Well, I've done a lot of visibility work of collaborating with other amazing entrepreneurs to, you know, get my message out there and support their business as well, like Instagram lives. And this podcast is one of them. And I've also been working on mostly just this year so far, just being more visible in every way. Like I've given a little bit more intention to my YouTube and I've been trying to grow my reach on Instagram, which has been a lot of fun and pretty successful so far. So those are my focuses. And that does take a lot of bravery. I think it's very interesting because in person, I'm rather shy. Like, I find it hard to initiate conversations with people and that sort of thing. But online, like, I'll be the first one to message someone after a networking event. You know, I have no problem reaching out to people. And posting videos of myself and all the things. And that's a really interesting little personality awareness thing. And also, another thing that I think is very brave that I'm doing in my business is just publishing on Amazon. There are many ways to publish on Amazon, and getting published, no matter what way you're doing it, I think is an incredibly brave thing to do. It's really putting yourself out there. It just takes so much commitment to get a book to the point of publishing, even if it's just a journal where there's a lot of blank space. And that's mostly what I publish. And the way that I do my publishing is probably a little bit more complicated than it could be, but it helps me maintain my like independence and freedom so that I don't get caught up in a bunch of legal stuff or having to refer to a publisher or anything like that. So I think it's worth it because one of my core values is freedom. So it's important that I can do it myself and I'm solely responsible for it, even though I'm working with a major company, Amazon. But and I will say, I think let's see, or this was my fifth time publishing on Amazon recently, the latest edition of my Mindfully Managing Mercury Retrograde journal, which is a journal with like information about the Mercury retrograde period and also journaling prompts. And so it's my fifth time publishing, and it was still just as frustrating as ever. I will never forget my first time. Like, I think I spent a solid 3 days, like practically the whole day, trying to get it accepted by Amazon. It's just, I just upload a PDF, and there are always margin errors. Amazon's always like, that doesn't fit properly, and that's off. And it's really hard for me to figure out why. It's always some weird, like one button I forgot to click on the way. And it can be extremely frustrating. And actually, the last time that I did it, I had written down everything that had worked so that it could be easier this time. And this time it was not easier. I had left something out. So I was back to square one with it. I got it solved a little faster than usual, I think just because of muscle memory. But, it's one thing the writing of it, and then there's the visibility part of it, and then there's the actually uploading it and praying that Amazon accepts it. So I feel like that's the most brave thing I've ever done in my business. Yeah.
Gosh, I can completely empathize with that process. Not that I've done it with Amazon, but my husband he publishes fiction books and has gone through, I've seen him tear his hair out over that process of like, come on, what I followed all your instructions. What do you mean? And all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
and yeah, I can definitely feel the bravery in that. And especially because like every time you come into this problem, it's like you kind of like could potentially have this moment. I'm sure that you don't because you're very committed, you're on your fifth book, but I can imagine like the first time you're doing it, it's like, is this a sign from the universe that this isn't meant to happen? Like I'm helping a client with Facebook ads at the moment, and like we're trying to get through some of that stuff, and yeah, there's like extra hoops that we're having to jump through. And she's like, is this a sign? And I'm like, no, this is just a sign that we're going to stick with this. So,
That is so interesting that you should mention that because that's actually something I've been thinking about lately.
yeah.
When this come up, when it seems difficult, I think especially as someone who is really into mindset and kind of new age beliefs and manifestation and stuff, you tend to think, oh, well, that's a sign that that's not for me. That's clearly not meant to happen. But there's a real difference between that's not meant to happen, that's not for you, and this is hard right now, but it's worth pushing through. And I think it really comes down to, because it can be really hard in the moment to figure out which one it is. I think it's really about how the outcome, like thinking about the outcome makes you feel. And another example of this is my book, my first non-journal. It's my 2024 planetary guidebook. And the journey of getting that written was the most challenging thing I've ever experienced in my business. Because I was at a really good place when I was creating it. And I had the thought of like, I get a lot of attention online for my astrology updates. It would be cool if I put it like into a book. That would probably sell a lot of copies. That would be a great thing, giving the people what they want. So I sat down to start creating it because I'm like, well, it's October, I should start working on this. And I just felt so overwhelmed because I normally do astrology updates for like the week or the month at most, you know? And based on the event, like I'll be like, well, Pluto is a very slow moving planet, so that's pretty major, but I'll just be like, well, it's made this change, and that's the post. But this was a whole book for a whole year, and I got really overwhelmed. Like, what do I include? I don't even know. Like, how much information is too much for a whole year? There were a lot of questions going around, and I got really overwhelmed throughout the process. Like my mind was telling me, just stop. Like it's too much work. You're never going to get it done in time, and no one will want to buy it anyway. So in the end, it'll be a waste of your effort. But what I did was I just connected each time to the feeling that I would have once it was published. It's up on Amazon. The sales were coming in. I was going to be on vacation after it was published. And, just being on vacation and then looking at my computer and seeing I'd sold like 7 more copies. And I'd be like, oh, the abundance is just coming to me. I don't even have to think about it. And this was such a great decision. And I know I'm helping people, but it was challenging. I remember one time I was working on it and at one point, the voices in my head were getting so negative that I just slammed the computer shut. And my mom was like, "What's the problem?" And I'm like, I'm just feeling like I should quit. I'm feeling like I should quit this. I just need a minute." And honestly, it was the best decision that I ever made to keep going because have sold a total of 18 copies of that book. And that's the most copies of a single book I have ever sold.
Oh,
So
is that the one that just came out in this last week, or is that one, or has it been out for a little while? Or
it's been out since November.
oh,
Um,
okay, sorry, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, so,
and
yeah,
it's been incredible. And that did actually happen when you connect enough,
yeah,
when you can visualize that, but most importantly, feel into the outcome
yeah.
and it feels really aligned. That's how you know you're meant to do it and you just have to keep going. Um, when it's, I feel like when you're trying to get something moving and it's not, and you're when you try and think of the outcome, you're like, oh yeah, that'll be like, something ticked off my to-do list. That is probably a sign that it's not aligned for you. If you're like, well, that's what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to be getting this done. So that would be
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
Maybe not. Maybe you need to shift something. But if you're like, yes, I want that. Really, that lights me up. That feels amazing. Yes, I want that. And that's an example of I actually did that. I went on vacation. I checked my computer one night and I had sold 4 copies in 24 hours.
Mhm.
And I was like, wow, that's awesome. So yeah.
Gosh, that's amazing, and I really love that story. It aligns so much with like my business bravery stuff. Part of the goal setting and visioning is the first thing we do is sort of like connect with our future self in a visualization and how it feels and that kind of stuff. And that's the stuff that I do. Like I do it like nearly every day to try and connect with my future self, especially when, like you, I have all of those thoughts of it's not going to work, nobody's going to care, nobody's going to sign up, just give up already. And like my brain, even though I've got years and years of like online marketing experience and everything, my brain just always wants to tell me, no, no, this isn't going to work. We just need to stop. It's too much effort. And yeah, I really value that story of yours and like what you went through with that and how you pushed through. And then the result on the other side of just being able to see all of the sales and how that connected and everything. I love that story. So thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I find it very similar to how I was with the Business Bravery podcast, because like on paper, it didn't make sense for me to start a podcast. It was like, no, you need to get more clients, get more income. But it was just like, I just felt it. Like I just, that alignment and the visual of where this will be in like 2 to 3 years. So Yeah.
Yeah. It's that long-term vision that really motivates you in the end. Yeah, because that's another thing, the fear comes up even when I was doing these live collaboration events with people. Even though I'm really comfortable with going live by myself, I've been doing it for almost a year and I feel confident on video and on camera. And I knew what I was going to be talking about and everything. And I knew these women that I was collaborating with. Still, the fear comes in. And several times I was like, I need to cancel some of these. These are too many. And it really just comes down to the fact that, the fear comes up when you're getting out of your comfort zone, when you're leaving behind your comfort zone. And that's a good thing.
Mm.
That is how you grow. That's what we're here to do. If we were just meant to live inside our comfort zones, like what would be the purpose of that? Because it's safe and cozy and nothing new ever happens. When you get out of your comfort zone, the fear gets really loud, but your life gets bigger and you can feel more connected to your future self. Like, is your future self in the exact position that you're in right now? Like, really?
Yeah.
Has she left her comfort zone at all? Yes, obviously. Yes, she's different. And that's the whole point of living is to
Yeah.
grow.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so powerful. Just yeah. Oh my gosh, such good stuff. Okay, so I'd love to sort of travel back. I'm not sure even how far that might be, but oh, actually, I guess I should know. It's just, it's the books that you have? Do you do coaching or like one-on-one sessions with people as well? How do you work with people?
I do coaching, one-on-one coaching. I offer birth chart analysis, which I call your personal instruction manual to reflect that practical element of it. And I also offer that for kids, so a parent can receive the birth chart analysis for their child to better understand them and where they're at, because actually, birth chart analysis methods are very different for adults and kids. But my focus is on one-on-one coaching and supporting people in working towards a goal using the practical astrological strategies within their birth chart, but also working with the astrological events that are affecting the world and how to, maximize that energy while it's available to help them get to where they want to be.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I love that. So now that I'm clear on exactly how you work with people, I'd love to know like how did you get started? Like what brave things did you have to go through or did you have to kind of shift in your mind to get started in this business that you're doing?
Hmm. It's a really interesting story of how I got started because it's very like all over the shop. Because what happened was my family and I like wanted this big change in our lives. We wanted to move overseas. We were living in Australia actually, and we wanted to, yeah, and we wanted to move here to California. And there were so many reasons why it wasn't going to work financially and things. And we online this freelancing course, like you've probably seen them of, you can work from home, you can make money from home. We'll show you how to do it. And I can't say that that course was like good, but the decision to start that and just be like, we'll see where this goes. This might make the money that we need to move was a life-changing decision. I started off actually doing video editing on Fiverr because I already had a passion for video editing. And it didn't go well. I didn't make a lot of money from that. It didn't happen how I wanted it to. But it got me realizing that that was something that I felt comfortable doing. A part of the course was to connect with people in entrepreneurial Facebook groups. And that's how I initially got like my first leads because the video editing wasn't working and I had already had a passion for astrology as well. And I had recently discovered these methods of practical astrology and I wanted to practice it. I wanted to share it with people and I wanted to, get better at it, get more comfortable with these methods. So I started sharing that in the Facebook groups and I actually got a lot of interest at first. And that was a lot of fun. And then life happened and we were actually able to move overseas, not because of the Facebook groups, but because of other things. And, an overseas move is a major stress. So there were months where I just let my business go. I completely forgot about it. Just like, trying to get a grip on how to live this new lifestyle. But then I lost my job. Actually, I had a part-time job, which I lost, and I couldn't find any more work. And I turned to my business, which I had like just been barely keeping alive with Facebook posts. And I was like, I really could do something with this, and I want to. Like, yeah, I don't mind working retail, but it would be so much more fun if I had another source of income and I could help people with practical astrology and see more where that could go. So I worked with a business coach who helped me like just get started on social media, have more of a plan, and motivated me mostly just to post more. That was really what I got from that coaching experience, was just to show up online more, get comfortable with lives, and get comfortable with, posting on my story and having more of a strategy. And from there, I kind of just was like, I want to experiment with all sorts of things. Because I'm finding new Facebook groups, I'm meeting new people. And I just started doing all the things. And it's just developed from there. That was last year, about this time a year ago, that we ended that coaching package together. And I was on my own and I was feeling ready and excited. And actually, I got another job after that at a tax office, but after tax season, they no longer needed me, and I have been unemployed since. And being this committed to my own business has caused me to make another brave decision to say no to some jobs. Like, because it's like, yeah, you want the extra income. Of course you do. But there are just some things I'm not willing to do. There are some things that aren't worth writing a cover letter for. And I'm like, I would much rather work at this for like 3 more years at the same rate it's going and give it everything I have and enjoy trying the new things along the way and still be unemployed than, take a job at like a fast food joint just so that I can get by. And, inevitably my business will fall by the wayside until I lose that job, and so the cycle continues. And that's what led me to realize that one of my core values is freedom. And that's why it's so easy for me to say no to jobs when they show up on the job posts, because I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm willing to work full time
Mm.
at for someone else doing something that is like kind of okay. I'd rather have the day to myself, be working on a business and maybe not making a sale that day, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely understand that. I mean, so I've been running my business for a number of years, but I had a part-time day job, but it was also in marketing for a nonprofit. So, and then in 2021, that's when I went full-time in my business after about 6 years of trying to get things happening on the side. But I definitely feel that pull of oh, I've got a job now, and then the business kind of becomes like goes on the back burner a bit and doesn't get as much focus. And
Yeah.
I'm definitely glad that I went full time in my business. And even now, like if I see job posts and things like that, because sometimes every now and then it's like, oh man, maybe that would be easier. Like I wouldn't have to put myself out there and I wouldn't have to do all of the master classes. But yeah, actually for me, it's just easier to go and find clients than it is to apply for a job right now. Like, looking my resume, I've been in my own business for so long that I don't look as employable and all of that stuff now. So yeah, this is where I am committed to this path now. I've like burnt the bridges behind me or something. So,
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. Like it's a decision. Like you kind of have to make it. I mean, there are some people who are willing to hire people who have been working on their own business and have a big gap in their resume, but I do think that it creates problems because there's such a difference between the I run my own business mindset and the I'm willing to work for someone else
mm,
mindset. Just, yeah, the differences are incredible. And the rest of my family work full time, and they're like, why can't you just get a full-time job? Your business will be fine. And I'm like, I see how you live And I'm like, I have no idea in what time I would be able to work on my business. Are you saying that I can, be doing enough to stay visible during my lunch break? Is
Mm,
that it? Because that doesn't seem right to me. I, I could see it if I work part-time, but even then, there are going to be days where you don't give it
mm,
any attention and it goes by the wayside. And if you're going to do it, like you have to commit 100%,
mm.
even when it seems like there's no way I could make that work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Have you found in this, like around about 12 months though, like your business has grown from all of that attention and all of that?
If you told me this time last year that I was going to be, in the situation that I'm in now in my business, I would not have believed you. Like selling books on Amazon, like actual physical books,
Mm,
that's crazy. Being on a podcast, that's insane. Doing all these lives, collaborating with all these people, just knowing all these other entrepreneurs and having this, network and support system.
mm,
Because, I think a lot of people talk about how it can give you other opportunities, and that's definitely a plus. But I see it more as just people who know what it's like.
mm,
It's refreshing to hear other people be like, yeah, I chose not to have even a part-time job as well.
mm,
And, these are what my work hours look like, and it's hard. And, there are also some really cool things about it, and they can share tools with you and, tell you what's worth your time and what isn't. And yeah, just understand that that's what the life is like. And, you know, I have an entrepreneur friend who I've messaged at like 10 p.m. and she's like, yeah, and she's in a different time zone. So it's actually like closer to midnight for her. And she's like, yeah, I'm still up because I've been taking a master class on a new skill after my day job. So
mm. Yeah.
yes, we can chat because I'm still awake. Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely so valuable to have like other people who do this life around you. I don't know, like I've been doing this for so long now that people in the normal world who do the 9 to 5 thing, like I don't hang out with them as much just because like we just don't have as much in common. Like all they want to talk about is what's going on at work and how it sucks. And I'm just like, if I've got a problem with my boss, that's my problem with me. And it's like I've got to fix that, you know. I'll call in HR, you know.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing because my mom has the world's worst boss, and the the difference there, because she'll be like, oh, she's put a bunch of work on me and says that I can't go home until it's done, so I'll be home at like 6:30 tonight. And yeah, when you're an entrepreneur, it's like, yeah, the boss has told me I have to do all this work and I can't leave until it's done. But then I was like, you know what? Just you. So I because I needed a break and I understand it's a lot, but it'll have to wait till Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what brave things do you have coming up in the next couple of months, next 2 to 3, or maybe 3 to 6 months, depending on how much of a planner you are?
Actually, I've moved into a stage at the moment where there's like more space for experimenting within my business, like behind the scenes stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that. It's actually limiting beliefs have stopped me from doing that before, of just telling myself that, my business isn't big enough. It's so I don't need to potentially invest in tools or even experiment with free ones because my business isn't big enough. And now I'm like, I, regardless of the size, regardless of what I have going on or how many clients I have, it's important to have systems set up and, to just experiment with those kinds of things is going to be fun for my intellectual brain and will also be taking a leap, I guess, into embodying having a bigger business, a quote unquote more important business, that it's worth trying these new things
Mm.
and, basically getting more professional. It'll be cool. Yeah.
Oh, nice. What's an example of like the systems or tech that you're looking at that you've held off from for so long? What's an example for us?
Well, one I think I only started a couple months ago was just getting Stripe set up. Yeah, believe it or not, I was just like, if you're gonna pay me, it has to go through like PayPal or Zelle. And then I had some problems with PayPal. Very interesting there. And I've heard other entrepreneurs are also like, yeah, I don't like PayPal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna have to find something else because, there are people internationally who I want to share things with. And so I have to find another way to do that. And Stripe was very recommended. And I put it off because I'm like, my business is not big enough to get a system, like to go through another platform for someone to pay. Um, that's out the window. People pay through Stripe. I've had 2 payments through Stripe now. So that's proof that it's big enough. And yeah, so setting up some more payment links there. And also, I've been thinking about using ManyChat on Instagram. Heard a lot of good things about it. And I was once again like, I don't need that. And actually, because I follow other awesome entrepreneurs and social media managers who are sharing things about how to make Instagram work for your business, I've learned that you actually can't click a link that you put on your reel on Instagram. I thought you could. You can't.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, that is very like that seems like bad news. What am I supposed to do?
Mm.
Because I've also heard people say don't get them to go to your bio because a lot of people won't because they're lazy. It's too many clicks. I'm
Mm.
like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then I heard about ManyChat and I was like, I didn't know it was free, and of course the free package is a little bit less, but I'm like, that would be fun to experiment with and just see if that's for me, because that would be a great way to make that work. And
Yeah.
also automate a bit of your business, because that's
Mm.
important too. I think
Yeah.
that too. I'm like, I have plenty of time. I don't need to automate anything, but it does really free up your energy so that even if you do have a lot of time, you can spend a little more on yourself or, serving clients or another part of your business. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So is that using chat to do like if you've got a reel and instead of having the link in the reel, you go, oh, comment strategy below or comment, I
Yeah.
don't know, Mercury below, like that's probably something you'd use. And then it automatically sends them stuff to the DMs and that stuff. Is
Yeah.
that using that? Because yeah, because I've used ManyChat for clients before and I've used it in a couple of different ways, and especially in like Facebook ad campaigns and stuff where those messenger ads and then you get into like a whole conversation that you build and stuff. So yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Awesome. But I love that way that you're using it. I mean, at the moment, I just get my reels, I share them in stories because in stories you can have a clickable link. So that's kind of what I do at the moment. But yeah, as well as have link in bio stuff. But yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, but I know that's not quite as powerful as that whole comment this word below.
Mm. I like sharing them to stories as well. And
Mm.
I've actually like I made the transition from Facebook to Instagram. Like I'm still on Facebook, but Instagram is I feel like it's built for creators a little bit more. People who have a little bit more fun making videos because, reels are just the biggest part of Instagram. And I've had so much fun doing that. And also, yeah, the Instagram stories I find a lot more fun, like the ways that you can add links and all
Yeah.
the things, just a lot more enjoyable. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, likewise. I mean, years ago, Instagram used to be this place where it had to be all perfect, but now since they've added in all the video stuff and all the feeds and stuff can be a little messy, I quite enjoy it over there. So, but
Yeah.
that said, I'm also building a Facebook group for Bravery, so I'm going back to Facebook and doing some of that stuff as well. So, yeah, can't get away from the Facebook hub, unfortunately, for me, it seems. So, yeah.
hmm And I have some beloved friends in Facebook groups who, aren't available on Instagram. And so, yeah, it's still a precious place. And I think the Facebook groups are probably where I'm going to focus now, instead of just the feed, get really specific. As I said earlier, unfollow some people and cleanse my Facebook list. The groups I'm in, really narrow it down to the things that really light me up and the people I really want to spend time with and the groups I really want to be a part of. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Love that. Okay, so this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you so much for all of your time and just it's been awesome. For those people, we of course have links to all of your stuff in the show notes, but for those people who are like me and is like, I'm not going to look at the show notes, I'm just going to go straight to Instagram right now. Tell me where, or Instagram, yeah, we've said Instagram. Tell us where people can find you. How can they connect?
Yeah. Yeah, Instagram is the best place to find me. As I've mentioned, I'm very active on there, and I have all the important links in my bio, including a link that you can use to apply to work with me if you think that you'd like to explore practical astrology a little bit more. And there's no commitment, so if you're still like not sure, no worries, but that'll just help both of us get a better sense of where you're at and how practical astrology can help you or any of the other resources that I have. Yeah, and I'm share on there regularly in reels. There's just a bunch of stuff to explore, and yeah, that's probably the best place to reach me. But I am also on Facebook as Gable Collings and on YouTube as Within Reach Astrology.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Gable. It's been amazing. Is there any last words you want to leave us with before we finish up today?
I just want to, I feel like I've already shared like a lot of, powerful things that could be whole podcast episodes of their own. And really just I want the takeaway to be that you can do anything, even if there are external blockages or Mercury's retrograde or, your brain is telling you that it's your only option is to quit. If you want something, if you really want something, whether that's to start your business, try something new in your business, or something about your personal life, you can totally do it because if you couldn't have it, you wouldn't want it in the first place. Everything that you want, like you have that desire because it's a possibility for you. And when you remember that, first of all, you're going to get a lot more passionate about it. And that passion is going to attract the opportunities to make it happen.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that's definitely been my experience and my story too. So that whole getting the passion to make it happen. So yeah, oh, love that. Thank you so much for all of your insights, your stories, your wisdom. It has been amazing. Thank you so much, Gable.
Thank you for this opportunity, Tiffany. This has been great.
Thanks for listening to the Business Bravery podcast. Has this episode inspired you to do something brave? Even if it's only send a difficult email, please share it with me on Instagram or other social media channels. Feel free to tag me at Tiffany G Studios. That's TIFFANY G for golf, STUDIOS, no spaces, no underscores, etc. Or you can use the hashtag Business Bravery Podcast so that I can cheer you on and together we can inspire other coaches and course creators to do brave things in their business and life. Now, I'm Tiffany and I'll leave you with this one last thing. What's one brave thing you're going to do today? It doesn't have to be big. Even the smallest steps can create the most massive results. So again, feel free to share it with me either publicly or privately so that I can cheer you on. That's it from me. Until next time, bye for now.